the Barents Sea, the Arctic Ocean, 1100 hours. A world of ice, and cutting through it the USS John Paul Jones, an American guided missile destroyer. Its mission conduct, freedom of navigation operations near Russian waters. Then suddenly a shadow emerged from the frozen haze. The Russian warship Admiral Levchenko, a Udaloy-class destroyer bristling with torpedoes, missiles, and 800 Russian sailors. The warship positioned itself with lethal intent. It moved directly into the American ship's path, a blockade, a challenge. Moscow's message could not be clearer. These are our waters. Turn back. But at 1100 hours, the American captain did something Moscow never saw coming. He didn't turn back. He didn't slow down. He did not blink. What happened in the next 9 minutes would nearly trigger a naval collision between two nuclear-armed superpowers. This is that story. For decades, the Arctic was Russia's backyard, a region frozen inaccessible and uncontested. But climate change melted the ice. It opened new vital shipping routes. It revealed oil and gas reserves worth trillions. Russia claimed it all, building a fortress of military bases. Their naval patrols increased a constant threatening presence. But America disagreed. Their position in international waters means international access. That morning, the USS John Paul Jones was there to prove that very point. At 1000 hours, the destroyer entered the Barents Sea, a legal transit, a routine operation. But Russia's Northern Fleet Command saw it as an act of aggression. At 1100 hours, the Admiral Levchenko steamed from port. The orders were direct: intercept the American ship, force it to retreat. Commanding the Russian destroyer was Captain Viktor Sokolov, a 30-year veteran, a hardened Cold War warrior. He'd faced American ships before. He believed they would do what they had always done: back down. By 10:45, the two warships were 10 miles apart on a collision course. By 1100 hours, the gap had closed to just 2 miles. It was then the Russian ship made its fatal move. It sliced directly across the American destroyer's bow, the naval equivalent of slamming on the brakes in front of someone dangerous, provocative, illegal. Then a transmission from the Russian captain. American warship, you are approaching Russian territorial waters. Alter course immediately. On the bridge of the USS John Paul Jones, Commander Rebecca Stone stared at her tactical display. The Russian warship was 500 meters ahead, dead in the water, blocking their path. Her executive officer spoke. "Ma'am, I recommend we change course. Avoid a confrontation." Commander Stone keyed the radio. Her voice was pure ice. "Russian vessel, and this is the USS John Paul Jones. We are conducting lawful operations in international waters. You are operating in an unsafe manner. I demand you move aside immediately." Silence. Then Captain Sokolov's reply crackled back. "We will not move. You will turn back or face the consequences." Commander Stone looked at her weapons officer. "What's our time to impact?" "At current speed, if neither vessel changes course, 4 minutes to impact. 4 minutes to decide. Back down and hand Russia a propaganda victory, or hold course and risk a collision at sea." Commander Stone made her choice. "All ahead full. Maintain present heading. Do not deviate." Her crew stared shocked. "Ma'am, we're going to hit them." "No, we're not. They will move. Trust me." 1100 hours. 3 minutes to collision. The USS John Paul Jones surged forward now at 25 knots, aimed like a spear at the Russian destroyer. On the Admiral Levchenko, alarms blared. Officers were shouting. The radar confirmed the impossible. The American ship was closing fast. Captain Sokolov was in disbelief. "They're not turning. They are not slowing down." "Sir," his first officer shouted. "Collision in 2 minutes. We must change course." "Hold position," Sokolov ordered. "They're bluffing." But Commander Stone was not. At 1100 hours, 1,000 meters separated the warships. The gap closed, 700 meters. Then 400. On the Russian bridge, panic began to set in. This was no exercise. This was real. Two steel behemoths on a collision course. Captain Sokolov's hands gripped the rail, his knuckles white. Sweat beaded on his brow, defying the Arctic air. "Captain, 300 meters. We must turn," but still Sokolov hesitated. To turn now meant losing face. It meant admitting defeat. 200 meters, 150. At 100 meters, just ship lengths apart, Captain Sokolov finally broke. Hard to starboard emergency turn now. The engines of the Admiral Levchenko roared to life. The massive destroyer heeled hard to the right. It was just enough. At 1100 hours, the USS John Paul Jones thundered past, missing the Russian warship by less than 60 meters. So close the sailors on each deck could make eye contact. So close, a miscalculation would have sent both ships to the bottom. The American destroyer held its course. It maintained its speed as if nothing had happened. Then Commander Stone's voice came over the radio. It was as calm as glass. Russian vessel. Thank you for observing safe navigation practices. Good day. The humiliation was absolute. Russia had attempted to block an American warship. They had tried to force a retreat. Instead, they were the ones forced to turn tail in their own backyard, in full view of their own fleet. Captain Sokolov stood on his bridge silent and defeated. His crew refused to meet his gaze. Everyone knew the truth of what just happened. Russia blinked first. Within hours, both nations reported the incident. The Russian Defense Ministry claimed the American warship conducted dangerous maneuvers near Russian territorial waters. Moscow claimed it was ensuring safe navigation. The Pentagon fired back. They stated the USS John Paul Jones was conducting a lawful freedom of navigation exercise. They accused the Russian vessel of unsafe operations, a dangerous game of chicken on the high seas. But satellite footage told the real story. Soon, independent analysts released the video. It showed the Russian warship cutting across the American's bow. Closing fast, a collision seemed imminent. Then at the last second, the Russian ship broke away. The global reaction was swift. NATO allies praised Commander Stone's steady hand. It was a textbook response to Russian intimidation. In Beijing, they watched carefully. If America would not yield to Russia in the Arctic, it would not yield to China in the Pacific. But the heaviest blow landed in Moscow. Russian military blogs exploded with fury. Veterans condemned Captain Sokolov. You had one job, hold your position. You failed. Within 1 week, Sokolov was gone. No promotion, no medals. Just a quiet reassignment to a desk. The message from Russian Naval Command was crystal clear. Losing face to America is never an option. But here is the deeper truth. The Russians had no choice but to move, because international maritime law is absolute. The vessel with the right-of-way, the one maintaining a steady course and speed, always has priority. The vessel that cuts across its path, the Admiral Levchenko, must give way. Captain Sokolov committed a fatal mistake. He illegally obstructed an American warship. If a collision had happened, Russia would be the one held responsible. It would face international condemnation and massive financial liability. Commander Stone understood this perfectly. She knew the law better than the Russian captain. She called his bluff and maintained her legal right-of-way. She forced him to choose between a disastrous collision or compliance. He chose compliance, and in doing so, he lost. It proved a dangerous illusion, Russia's dominance in the Arctic. Because true control isn't about geography. It's about who enforces the rules. And in the world's international waters, America enforces the rules. So why does the Arctic matter? The stakes are immense. There's 3 critical reasons. First, resources. Oil, gas, minerals worth over $1 trillion locked beneath the ice. Second, shipping lanes. As the ice recedes, the Northern Sea Route opens, a new artery of trade cutting shipping time from Europe to Asia by 40%. And third, military strategy. Nuclear submarines can vanish under the polar ice. Missile threats can be launched from new Arctic bases. Russia wants control of all 3. They claim the Arctic is their sovereign domain. But international law says otherwise. The vast majority of the Arctic Ocean is international waters. This is the purpose of American freedom of navigation operations. They matter. Every time a U.S. warship sails these waters, it sends a clear message reinforcing international law. It draws a hard line against Russian territorial expansion. And they are not the only ones watching. China's own icebreakers now explore the Arctic. Beijing is testing American resolve. Because if America backs down in the Arctic, China will push its own claims much harder in the South China Sea. This is the global chessboard. One incident has multiple implications. Commander Stone didn't just win a standoff with a single Russian ship. She sent a powerful message to every nation watching. America will not be intimidated. Not in the Arctic, not in the Pacific, not anywhere. Russia has more icebreakers. They have more Arctic bases and the advantage of geography. But America has something far more important: the unwavering will to enforce international law, the courage to stand firm against aggression, and the professionalism to win without firing a shot. At 1100 hours, Russia attempted to block an American warship. By 11:05, Russia was forced to yield, an event that redrew the map of Arctic power. Today, the USS John Paul Jones stands guard in the frozen north. Its commander, Rebecca Stone, is now a captain. In the Barents Sea, Russian warships still prowl. But now, they keep a respectful distance. A lesson was learned the hard way. This is the story of how that lesson was taught. It proved that modern naval warfare is not a game of firepower. It is a game of steel-cold nerve. Russia had the bigger ship. They had the home field advantage and full geographical support. But Commander Stone possessed a weapon Moscow hadn't accounted for: unshakable faith in international law and the full force of American resolve. She calculated they would not risk a collision. She gambled they would be the first to blink. She understood that to win this fight, she had to call their bluff, and she was proven right. This is why the United States Navy is the planet's most dominant maritime force. It is not because of superior numbers. Russia has a larger Arctic fleet. It is not because of geography. The Arctic is, and always has been, Russia's backyard. It is because of superior training, unmatched professionalism, and the unwavering courage to enforce the rules, even when outnumbered, even when out-positioned. 11 a.m. the Barents Sea. In the Arctic Ocean, 2 destroyers sliced through the ice. 1 collision course, 0 shots fired. Russia's gambit block, America's path. A fatal mistake. America held its course. Then suddenly, Russia broke away. And the Arctic remained free and open waters for all. This is the new face of naval conflict. It's not fought with battleships, but with bravery. A high-stakes test of will, a test America keeps passing. Because when the law is on your side, you don't need to fire a single weapon. You just need to hold your course. This is 21st century warfare. This was the Great Arctic Standoff. And this is a chilling warning about what happens when Russia underestimates American resolve. Model